lost a brother, but you have gained so many brothers and sisters, all of us. And I would like to introduce now our brother, Nechemya Norman Rosenbaum.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I start, I would ask the people on Eastern Parkway if they could move back so the people who are on Kingston Avenue can move forward onto Eastern Parkway so everybody can hear all of the speakers. Could you please move back so the people on Kingston and the people on Eastern Parkway move back?
Yeah. Yeah. You can see him?
People on Kingston Avenue, if you could move down.
Yeah.
Please move back. Chaskel family. In the organization of this rally today, a conscious decision was made in consultation with Rabbonim in Crown Heights and the communal leaders in Crown Heights, and indeed with rabbinical leaders across this city. This is not a political rally. Today, you're not going to hear from politicians. Today, it would be remiss of me to stand before you at probably the most crucial time in domestic U.S. history without acknowledging those true friends of this community. I know amongst the crowd here, there are members not only of the Crown Heights Jewish community and other Jewish communities throughout this city, but also non-Jews alike. And today we stand united in our pursuit, our never-ending pursuit for justice. Today is a day of peace. We can stand here not with the threat of being shot or being knifed or being attacked. And I thank you on behalf of my parents for you being here and showing the commitment. But there was a time in August 1991 when a commitment had to be shown, and regretfully, not many people were prepared to stand up and put their bodies where it counted. It is a fact, an undeniable fact, that the Jews of this city, Jews of this country, indeed the Jews of the world, are not a violent people. The fact was, in 1991, in August, when this community was under attack for being Jewish, there were a number of people who stood up, not for political gain. They're not here today to address a political rally, but they're here because they are people of integrity, of credibility, of commitment, and who value, in the true sense of the word, human rights. We're not a people of violence, we're peaceful people. We value democracy and we cherish our freedom. One of the hallmarks of democracy is the power to exercise your democratic vote. Ladies and gentlemen, a person who has been in this community well before August of 1991, but who is here, body and soul, and he's still here, is Alphonse D'Amato. When we talk about the issues before us today, I ask you to push aside politics. This isn't politics. This is truth, justice. Come next Tuesday, this Tuesday, I ask you again to forget about any political persuasions that you may have infiltrated in you, and what you may have been brought up with, and remember Alphonse D'Amato. When the jury verdict was returned, it represented to both me and my parents both an end and a beginning. It was the end of a torturous 14 months during which the authorities of this city have ignored the horrible murder of Yankel, Hashem Yinkom Domo. But it wasn't just Yankel who was a victim. What we had in this neighborhood was a pogrom.
Never again! Never again! Never again. Never again.
Yankel's murder is a symbol of the outrageous anti-Semitic violence that was permitted to be perpetrated against the Jews of not only Crown Heights, but the Jews of this city, this state, and this country. It's true that I am Yankel's brother, but first, I'm a son of my people. I could have gone home and lived happily ever after, albeit without my brother. But I can't. I can't because I know, had I been the victim, Yankel Rosenbaum would be here for me, and he would be here for you. What happened in the jury room is not only a reflection on the jury and the prosecution, but it's an indictment on the authorities of this city and this state who failed in their duties to conduct a proper and comprehensive investigation of not only the murder of my brother, but the pogrom of Crown Heights.
Dinkins must go! Dinkins must go! Dinkins must go! Dinkins must go! Dinkins must go!
Consequences of racial polarization and mistrust fostered and advanced by the mayor of this city. The very man who portrayed himself to the voters as the healer of this city. Ethnic division brought about and has allowed to perpetuate a situation which we must not allow to go unanswered. Contrary to the suggestions of the mayor, I'm an establishment person. I'm a former federal prosecutor. I believe in rule of law, and it's an insult to claim that I speak out of anger and emotion. The facts, ladies and gentlemen, speak for themselves. What occurred here is an insult to all law-abiding citizens of this country. The indifference, the inaction, which we have witnessed in the 14 months since that pogrom and Yankel's murder, is an indictment and threatens the very moral fabric of society. It took the mayor 2 weeks to calculate for himself that Yankel's murder, amidst the cries of "kill the Jew," constituted a biased crime. Only last The mayor said, we're watching every move of anything wrong. I just wonder what would have happened if the Ku Klux Klan had marched into Bedford-Stuyvesant. Would have the mayor stood back for 3 days and tied the hands of New York's finest? The mayor said that he accepted the verdict of the jury which said that the police in this city are liars. The mayor is calling the police liars. We know that's not the truth. If not, what's the authority of the mayor to make such a comment? Ladies and gentlemen, regretfully, what I see before me today should have happened months ago. People have come up to me and they've said they're sorry. And I've responded by saying it's not your fault. But regretfully, each and every one of us bears a responsibility for what has occurred. We have stood back and we have allowed ourselves to be intimidated and dictated to by thugs. The mayor of this city has given legitimacy to thugs. The silence of those in authority has legitimized and allowed those perpetrators of murder and violence to walk the street confident that this system will not bring them to justice. This must change. The U.S. Attorney General William Barr announced on Friday that there will be a federal investigation into Yankel's murder. A lot of people have stood back and said, well, you've done it. And it was done in the last 24 hours. Let me assure you that the fact is that took a lot of hard work. It didn't happen in 24 hours. People were writing within days. On August 22 last year, during the pogrom, Alphonse D'Amato called for a full federal U.S. investigation. And I must know what people should realize, that when so many others were silent, I was fortunate enough, and the Crown Heights community was fortunate enough to have not only a politician, ladies and gentlemen, today we stand united, and I acknowledge and I applaud those communities who come out here, and the various Rabbonim who are here from out, not only within Crown Heights, who have made a commitment, but from outside of Crown Heights. I have to acknowledge those who stood by me. I would like to acknowledge Crown Heights community,
No, I cannot, but I need to do
the National Committee for Furtherance of Jewish Education. Our British Israel of America, the guy that I bought in the Flatbush, the son that I bought in Williamsburg, and anybody else who I've forgotten to mention, I apologize. It is my... But please, the message which I ask you to walk away with today, and what you should never ever forget, while William Barr has said we need an investigation of Yankel's murder, we're here to say that's not enough. We need a full federal investigation into not only Yankel Yankel's murder and the apprehension of all of those who number in excess of 20 who killed him amongst the cries of "Kill the Jew." We need a full investigation of the hospital which didn't treat him and allowed him to bleed to death.
We need an investigation of Mayor Dinkins.
We want a full investigation of all those responsible, whoever and wherever they are. And we want an investigation into the authorities of New York City which allowed this pogrom to go ahead.
Down with Dinkins! Down with Dinkins!
I don't like Dinkins. With Achdus Yisrael as a commitment, and Avas Yisrael as a commitment, because what is our challenge? Our challenge of the Pekuach Nefesh. This is life and death, and I ask you, we have heard words before, and our non-violent ways should never be interpreted as a sign of weakness. We stand united. We must ensure that we scrutinize the federal authorities to ensure that not only is justice done, but it appears to be done. And I ask you that each and every one of you, although we have thousands here today, it will require you to enthuse and aware and bring out of their slumber and their apathy those millions who didn't turn up today. If we're going to survive as law-abiding citizens, everybody must be personally responsible to not sit back in their homes thinking that someone else will do it for them. We must be prepared to demonstrate in an unequivocal but peaceful manner our commitment to justice. Justice for Yankel, justice for Crown Heights, justice for Jews, justice for all law-abiding citizens. But outside our Rabbi who are here today, you can see them on the dais. I've mentioned Tomato, you can see Ed Koch.
Oh, you're all right, but don't jump over.
Down to the bridge. Would like to get
Excuse me.
I am here to express the profound shock and dismay of our entire community that justice has not been done in the vicious murder of Yankel Rosenbaum. Hashem Yikum Damo. We cannot and dare not be silent in the face of the jury's verdict, which was a contemptible miscarriage of justice. We must raise our voices in an outcry of outrage until these murderers are convicted and justice is done. Permit me for a moment a personal word.
How many millimeters?
I knew Yankel Rosenbaum. He visited with me a number of times
Who's this now?
to discuss his search for the roots of our Jewish people in Eastern Europe. Yankel was a warm person, a fine person, a man of peace, so full of life and vigor. He made plans with me to visit Poland, to research the once flourishing Jewish communities of the Holocaust martyrs. But suddenly, and so sadly, he himself became a martyr. Let's face the truth. The taking of Yankel Rosenbaum's life during the pogrom atmosphere of last summer's riot here in Crown Heights was an act of murder against a human being for the sole sin of his being.
Let me hear. Can you say it a little? Can you put it a little louder?
No.
Why not?
And strength and power to leave no stone unturned in the investigation that it has promised to launch until the murderers are prosecuted to the hilt of the law. Yes, let the federal government show that Jewish blood is not cheap. Let it be understood clearly, this unpardonable mockery of justice, which permits brutal murderers to walk the streets of New York scot-free, is not a Crown Heights issue. It's an issue that should cause concern and evoke responsible action by every Jew, all of Klal Yisrael. In fact, it should steer the conscience of every human being who should never forget that Jews traditionally have been in the forefront of the battle for justice for all peoples. We heard the apostle called the Meyachichu Takim Elai. We must hearken to the cries of the blood of our brother Yankel Rosenbaum, crying out to us from the ground, "Avenge my death!" Let the cries of his blood be in our hearts and in our conscience. Let us not rest until justice is done. Thank you very much, Rabbi Besser. May I give you, for very briefly, the United States Senator for the state of New York, Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen.
Senator for so long.
Ladies and
Only
gentlemen.
has $60,000 in his bank.
Get up. Justice, justice we pursue.
Huh?
14 months ago, I said to the Justice Department, you must pursue not only the murder of Yankel Rosenbaum, but how it is that the justice system has failed. How it is that a pogrom has taken place in our country, in our state, and in our city. And I must say to you, that while they have finally responded with a federal inquiry, my friend Professor Rosenbaum, a learned man in the law, is absolutely right. It must go further. It is not just a matter of tracking down those who killed Yankel because he was a Jew. It must determine how it is and why it is that not all of the authority that rests in the power of our governmental system was failed to be exercised to protect all of our people. That is justice. And so I say to those in Washington, you're 14 months late. But you should see to it that we have an inquiry that satisfies all of our citizens, black, white, Jew, non-Jew, because people should never have to fear the war because of who they are or what they look like. People have a right to expect that in the land of freedom, that those who run our justice system from the federal right down to the bottom, that they are truly interested in preserving the rights of their citizens. And how dare those in public office shirk their responsibility on the altar of political expedience. Shame on them, each and every one of them, on their citizens. All of us, regardless of political party, regardless of persuasion, regardless of color, must seek to change the course and the direction of what is taking place. A deterioration of the respect of the life and dignity and the sanctity of each and every person. Let us persevere and let us see true justice for all of our people.
Thank you very, very much, Senator Aldamado. And let me assure you, friends, we want to thank the Senator, and we want to tell him on behalf of everyone that this community is not going to remain silent. And as we have spoken out today, we are going to continue to speak out until we have a federal investigation on all counts. Number one, on the murder of Yankel Rosenbaum, and how come it's 14 months after his murder and only one person was apprehended. We demand that all the murderers be apprehended, be arrested, and be convicted immediately. Number two, we do not want another riot, not only in Crown Heights, but we speak for every Jewish community and for every community throughout the world. We do not want another riot, and we want a federal investigation as to what happened in Crown Heights and how come this administration has tied the hands of the police for 4 long days. We demand a federal investigation at that point. Finally, we want a thorough investigation to investigate the civil rights, the equal rights of Yankel Rosenbaum and of the Jewish community at large, whether those rights were not violated in the Yankel Rosenbaum murder trial. And we want to put the Justice Department on notice that we will monitor what they are doing, and we will not be satisfied until there's a full and thorough investigation on all 3 counts. I believe There is Hakolas Atev, and we have good news to announce. Azachum weten such good news, but maybe it would help. There is a $100,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest of any of the perpetrators of Yankel Rosenbaum offered by the ADL, by the Anti-Defamation League. $100,000, and we hope that that will maybe help in this process. Friends, I would now like to introduce to you for greetings and remarks, the chairman of the Crown Heights Jewish Community Council, Rabbi Spielman.
He can't speak.
14 months ago, a Jewish community suffered the first pogrom in the history of the United States. It happened to be this community.
You should know how many people are here.
Many of you who saw the images of those days on television or the newspapers and were horrified by what you saw. We here who lived through it were not only horrified, we were traumatized. And tragically, many of us suffered not just emotional but physical injury. And one of us, the Koch, Rabbi Yankel Rosenbaum, Oliver Sholem, suffered a vicious and despicable attack leading to his death. What we want to make clear today, that the worst part of what occurred was not the injuries inflicted by the rampaging mob. It was the injury inflicted by a government that abandoned us to those very mobs. The feeling of helplessness that we experienced as peaceful and law-abiding citizens who counted on our government to protect us from lawlessness penetrated to our very core. To this day, we cannot regain a sense of peace and security. Sporadic instances of anti-Semitism are with us almost daily. A sense of many of our children still climbing to their parents' beds at night to find relief from the fears born during those days to fall asleep at night. Just imagine answering your phone to a plea from aged parents trapped in their house by a violent mob shrieking, "Kill the Jews," while breaking down the door, and imagine that you can do nothing to help. Just imagine finding yourself in an office 5 blocks from your home, your wife and children sitting at home surrounded by brick and bottle throwing rivals, and you are unable even to reach them because the streets are impassable. Finally, imagine while this is happening, your own elected officials tell you that the rioters are expressing legitimate grievances that must be addressed. And that it is your failure to build bridges with your neighbors that brought all that about. And then those officials wait for 3 full days, 72 agonizing hours before restoring any semblance of public order. Of course, although I am asking you to imagine this, we here in this community don't have to imagine it, because it actually happened to us. Here on the streets of New York City, in the United States, in August of 1991. Not in Nazi Germany, not in the Stalinist Russia, not in the Gulag, but here on the very streets we stand on today. 14 months have passed, and the same government that allowed the riots to occur in the first place has shamefully failed to launch any meaningful investigation to determine who was responsible for turning a tragic automobile accident into an excuse for anti-Semitic rampage. The sole product of the police investigation to date was the indictment against Limerick Nelson, the murderer of Yankel Rosenbaum. But there were at least 20 others involved in the attack on Yankel. And one of the dozens of others who assaulted us on our streets, and one of those responsible for inciting and inflaming the mobs in the first place. There are no answers to these questions because no one has even tried to find them.
I have a feeling you...
Now, 14 months after these horrifying events, yet another outrage has been inflicted upon us.
You know, about a third of people left here.
With a verdict in the Nelson
I've been
case.
stuck in traffic for an hour
It is
and a half since I
absolutely clear to everyone and openly admitted by the jury members themselves that the jury simply regarded the overwhelming evidence of guilt and decided to free the murderer regardless. It is clear to us that this act of the jury was the inevitable consequence of a climate of official disregard for Jewish civil rights and equality fostered by the administration of this city. From the first decision to allow the riots to go unchecked, to the decision not to vigorously investigate and arrest the lawbreakers, to the actions of the mayor in many other situations that have undermined respect for the police and caused racial animosity and polarization between different groups throughout our city. The responsibility for the outrage that we protest today lies squarely on the shoulders of David Dinkins and his administration. And then, after the verdict, following the verdict, the mayor stated that we had to accept the verdict. He said that since the jury has spoken, justice was done. Mr. Mayor, before making that pathetic statement, did you call the District Attorney Hines and ask him whether justice was done? Did you ask any other responsible observer? Or did you just speak out of ignorance and in contempt of the Rosenbaum family, the Jewish community, and all decent citizens of New York? Was justice done in the Rodney case simply because, Rodney King case, simply because a jury rendered a verdict? As we all recall, you didn't say the same thing then. The bottom line is that we no longer have any confidence in the ability and good faith of the Dinkins administration as protectors of all of New York. And we believe that all fair-minded New Yorkers agree with us. For this reason, we have called upon the federal and state governments to intervene and investigate this entire series of events, beginning with the riots, the program themselves, and leading to the jury verdict. The Justice Department has announced, as has the governor, that it will open an investigation, which is encouraging. But we must make certain that it is a full, prompt, and thorough investigation. That investigation must answer the following questions. Number one, who was responsible for inciting the rioters in the first place? Number two, who were all the parties responsible for the murder of Yankel Rosenbaum? Number 3, who was responsible in the police department and the mayor's office for the decision to allow the pogrom to continue for 72 hours before stopping the rampage? And finally, number 4, who was responsible for the failure to conduct an adequate investigation immediately after the events occurred? Unless these questions are answered, the injustice will stand and citizens will know that their government is not there to protect them from racial and anti-Semitic violence on equal terms. The show of solidarity and support that we are making here today, by having representatives here from all walks of life in the city of New York, both Jewish and non-Jewish, will send a clear message to all levels of government that the citizens of this country, the city, state, and country, regardless of race, color, and creed, will not tolerate individual crimes against civil rights, and even more important, we will not tolerate government policy that permits such crimes to go unchecked and unpunished. Most important, we serve notice that the Crown Heights Jewish community and all Jews will never again be violated in this despicable way, and together we shall prevail. Thank you.
In view of what Rabbi Spielman has just told you, in order to conduct the federal and state investigations, we have hired our own lawyers who have made a tremendous contribution.
Wees nog een zoom.
Zoom,
how much? What does it make it into?
And we are asking everyone
times 8.
To join us
16 times 6.
In the Crown Heights.
Oh, it's 6, so it's 12.
In the Yankel Rosenbaum Crown Heights Defense Fund and the Crown Heights Yankel Rosenbaum Justice Fund. And we hope that everyone will contribute so that you are going to be a part, in Yirtzeh Hashem, of the justice system. Friends, we want to thank God we have word from the Justice Department, although we are not completely satisfied, but at least it's the beginning. And I believe that we owe a vote of thanks to those who have gathered tens of thousands of petitions for the Justice Department. I want to thank Karelefsky of the Jewish Action Committee, together with Lance Sinberg, Deborah Arnold, Rick Fine, Suri Jesselson, Bill Rosenbaum, Bob Cole, Minu, Southgate, Miriam Prince, Miriam Essen, Joe Martell. They have, in the cold weather, they have gathered tens of thousands of signatures for the Justice Department. I also want to welcome, we told you we have a subsequent list. And in case we forget some of the rabbis, some of the dignitaries, I hope that you will forgive us. But we want to add Shmuel Bloom from the Agudas Sliwa, State Senator Marty Markowitz, our own State Senator. Rabbi Zion Price from Hineni, Mr. Michael Miller from the JCRC, Rabbi Joseph Groomblatt, excuse me, and State Committee Man Steve Cohn. I believe, friends, Israel singer from the World Congress. I believe, friends, and
give me now.
Not forget.
I want to talk to you in a way that perhaps is different than what I would normally do if I were still mayor or in public office. I want to talk to you as I talk on my radio show as the voice of reason. And what I to do is to give you a little history here. So the first thing you can do to make me feel better is put down the slides. I want to put it down, put them down. I want to talk to you. In 1946, we all thought that we had seen the last pogrom. The Jews returning from the concentration camps back to their homes in Poland found that when they got home, their fellow non-Jewish Polish citizens killed them. In Kielce, 43 Jews were murdered in a pogrom, and hundreds others were injured because the Poles in those villages thought that the Jews who had been driven out were coming back to get their homes. And the world said, this can never, ever happen again. That the shock is that it didn't happen again this year or last year in Poland. It happened in the city that has the largest Jewish population in the world. We had a pogrom last year right here in Crown Heights. What a horror! What a shunda! What a shame! Now, what happened? What did people learn happened that night? There was an accident, which happens by the dozens, if not the hundreds, in this city. Tragic as it is, an accident. And as a result of that accident, a mob ran through the street right here, yelling, "Jew, Jew, kill the Jew." And they stabbed Yankel Rosenbaum. Now, there was a trial, and at the trial, cops reported the following, that within a few minutes of the incident, they had apprehended a young man, and they found in his pocket a knife with the word "kill" on it, and with blood on it, and blood on his clothes. And they took him back to Yankel Rosenbaum, who was lying on the top of an automobile, and they showed him this young man, and he said, "That's him! Why did you do it? Why did you do it? 20 against 1, not fair." And they took that young man to the police station, and there, in the presence of 2 police officers, he admitted that he had put the knife into Yankel Rosenbaum. Those are the undisputed facts as they were laid out at the trial by different police officers. And then you had the medical examiners testify, and the EMT personnel about the direct confrontation and the identification, and there was the evidence that the blood on the knife was the blood of Yankel Rosenbaum. Now I want to say this to you. I do not fault the lawyer. The lawyer in our country, we don't have pursuit of the truth. We have an adversary proceeding, and he did what he is supposed to do the best he can to prevent his client from being convicted. But what is inconceivable to me is the thought that everybody, 6 cops, the medical examiner, the emergency medical people, that they all somehow or other, in violation of the law, setting themselves at risk for perjury, perjured themselves in a conspiracy. To me, this is unacceptable. Unacceptable in a reasonable, rational way when you examine it. Now, I am not here, and I never have, even in the Rodney King case, I did not criticize the jury. I found their verdict unacceptable, and I said so, and I say to you, I find this verdict unacceptable. Now, you know, the key to any city's survival are two things. A, that you feel secure as you walk the streets, as you go to your homes, as you use the subways, that you feel secure. And we don't have that, not just in Crown Heights. We don't have a sense of security in this whole city. And everybody knows that. In fact, it's not limited to New York City. Regrettably, it's in too many cities in this country. But the second thing that you depend upon is that if you are assaulted, and if they find the person who assaulted you, that there will at least be a sense of justice. We don't have, in this city, a sense of justice anymore. Now, when this first happened, many people asked, myself included, why is it that the city of New York does not post the reward? And I wrote to the police commissioner several times and urged the mayor several times to post the reward. They would not do it. Now, no, I don't want to get involved in personalities. I'm giving you the facts. Now, stop. I got the mic. Now, they wouldn't do it. I found it offensive that in 14 months they only found one alleged perpetrator when they knew there were 20, that there are now 19 people out there who participated in this murder. And there is, at least for the last 14 months, nothing done to find them that you could say was adequate, not even the posting of the reward. Why? We know that in other situations around this city, that when there were more than one person attacking someone, and it was a biased crime, the community was condemned for not giving up names, and rewards were posted. And every public official in America denounced the communities for not giving up the names. Here, there was no effort to get those names. Now, I'm saying to you, that is a biased crime. The second, as well as the first, that is a biased crime. All of our citizens, Jew and Gentile, black and white, we must be treated equally. And I must say to you, there should be never an assault on Jews, innocent Jews, nor should there be an assault on innocent blacks. And anybody in the hearing of my voice or reading of what I'm saying, when you go out and assault someone who's innocent, a black or a Jew, you've got to go to jail, and you discredit your own community when you do that. So I am urging you, because what I find missing, it bothers me more than anything else. People talk about the gorgeous mosaic. other than a few who are on this platform. Al, Roy, Curtis, where are our friends? But I am not simply castigating the non-Jewish community. I am saying, where are the other Jews in this city? Why isn't Eastern Parkway filled with hundreds of thousands of us? When in Paris 2 years ago, there was a desecration of a cemetery, there came a march on the Champs-Élysées led by the President of France, the Prime Minister of France, the Mayor of Paris, everybody who is not Jewish, 100,000 came and said, we will not tolerate this. Now, I remember last year, nobody came to you to say, we support you. I am talking about our fellow Jews. Where are they? Don't they realize when they come for you that they're next? Don't they realize that? That is age-old. There are people. I'm coming to the conclusion here now. There are people who believe that they have to disassociate themselves from those of us, not me, but others here, who look different, who dress different, who keep all of the mitzvot. And that somehow or other, that they have to disassociate themselves. They should know that when they hide, their neighbors know who they are. The only way to stop anti-Semitism, which is now in full bloom in this city and around the country escalating, is for Jews to stand tall, strong, proud,
Have to put it on the other roof. Shit, it's going all over here. It's going all over here. What roof? Come this way, that roof across the roof. No, it has to go this.
Stand up.
Over here, go further down.
Stand with us. Or Roy Innis. Or any or Curtis. The people who are not Jewish, who are here and stand with us. I am saying
Go
to
across
you,
the street. That's pretty cool. Yes.
there has to be in this city a march against anti-Semitism. Not just Eastern Parkway filled by Orthodox Jews, but in Manhattan, with a million people, Jew and non-Jew, working together. Thank you.
A lot of nachas from his children and from his grandchildren. Leilat Yomim, Mishanim David, long, happy, sweet years. We have one more speaker. Mr. Innis from Koch.
I want to thank you for allowing me to come here today and share this moment with you. I am here to
to speak for myself, but also for the 97% of the decent black people of America. The people who remember that a quarter century ago that America went through the greatest social revolution in the history of mankind, and the people that led that revolution were blacks and Jews. The murder of Yankel Rosenbaum is a racist murder done by the racist mob. They were no different than the mob that murdered Nechemya, that murdered Cheney and Shmuel, 2 Jews, and Butman, 4 women. No different than the mob that burned and bombed the church and killed young black kids in Birmingham. And no different than the mob that beat up Rabbi King and the jury that cut them loose. There is no way you can object to the jury that had a racist verdict against Rabbi King, and then object to the jury with a racist verdict against the Jewish people of Crown Heights and the murder of Yankel Rosenbaum. There is no way you can ask for a federal investigation of Los Angeles and then have a federal investigation of the crisis in Crown Heights. An investigation into why only one of the murderers were arrested. Why only after this racist verdict did the mayor offer a reward? I want to say to you here today that it is shameful that there are not every single civil rights leader, every black leader that owes so much to the energies and the blood spilled in our interest by Jews not here today. But it's even more shameful that those of us that stand with you are censored, that you are not allowed, that this world, this country is not allowed to know that most Jews and most blacks do get along together. Thank you. Sliwa. Bear with me, my voice is under the weather, but I want to speak of my personal experience here in this Crown Heights community, because I was reared here, having gone to St. Matthew's, the Catholic school on Eastern Parkway and Utica Avenue, and passing 770 Eastern Parkway, as I then ventured on to Brooklyn Prep, the Jesuit high school right there off of Carroll and Nostrand. And let me tell you, the deep, dark, ugly secret that's still smoking here today is the fact that I, like other non-Jews, were taught that the people of 770 and the people like you were our adversaries, were our enemies, were the Christ killers. Understand that. So, when you see the non-Jew not attend here, when you see the Gentiles say, well, it's none of our business, it's none of our affair, this goes back historically, because there was a time when, remember, I myself was being weaned this way. But I began to learn differently. At the age of 6, I was surrounded at the public school on Schenectady, and I was being driven into the concrete by a group of young blacks and Hispanics. And I was at the point I was saying my last rosary. went to Hasidim, to Lubavitch youth who didn't know how to fight. It was two Lubavitch youth who went in there and throwing blows rescued me from that crowd. I knew these people were not my enemies, and then we're walking down Eastern Parkway in the late 70s. I saw the Maccabees and the other citizens of this community organize the first community patrols in the United States, bar none. And then I was here in the 72 hours of terror, an attempted ethnic cleansing. I had to face off with some of my fellow schoolmates that went side by side with me in St. Matthew's as they screamed, "Kill the Jew!" And they threw the rocks, and they kicked in the doors, and they attempted to purge this community of the Jews who lived here, who are a vibrant part of it. No one can ever tell me what I saw with my eyes and what I heard with my ears. Guardian angels escorted Jew and Gentile through the maddening crisis of those hours. We saw the police. Yes, the police were told to do nothing. They sat there idly by. The instructions to do nothing came from City Hall. 14 months later, a reward was finally announced, and the mayor was asked, "Will you support a federal investigation?" And what did he say? No. Let me end with this note. You have become role models. You have not packed your bags and gone to the suburbs. You have organized in your community. You have raised your families. When, in my lifetime, have I ever seen a Hasid snatch a pocketbook, snatch a gold chain? You are what family values are all about. Others may talk about it, but you are living role models. That is why I and others who have chosen to wear the red flag as guardian angels, we will make a better life for our children and our children's children. But most of all, we will make up for the indiscretions, for the prejudices, and for the killings that our people have perpetrated against you over the centuries. And the only way we can do that is to stand next to you when you are attacked again. You say never again, I say never again. Thank you very, very much, Curtis. You say never again, we all say never again, and it will not happen again if we stand united. Friends, I will now like to introduce to you Rabbi Fabian Schoenfeld, the young Israel of Kew Garden Hills.